So for as far back as I can remember, I've only ever had one camera. I've always felt that's adequate. And then I started making these YouTube videos and I bought a second camera which primarily did video. So I had a stills camera and a video camera. And that's the way it's been for most of my adult life until recently. And then somehow, inexplicably and without any intention, I find myself with about 19 cameras, and I honestly don't know what's happened. It's like they've slowly crept into my life and I can't explain it. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to look at all of the cameras one by one. We're going to see what roles they play in my photography life and if I need them and if they do improve my photography, and basically try and figure out what's going on, because this is ridiculous. No one needs this many cameras. Or do they? Stick around and find out. And yes, I'm very much aware that I'm wearing sunglasses on my head. The word sunglasses has been barred from the comment section, so thank you very much, but this is what it's come to. Still can't get my haircut, there you go. Oh, and a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, which is Squarespace. So if you need a website, go to squarespace.com/Heaton. So jumping in with the first camera, this is a Canon M50. I bought this as my main video camera for this channel many years ago, and it's done a stellar, fantastic job. It's held up to everything that I've thrown at it, and for a budget camera, produces great 1080p video with fantastic autofocus. Very reliable, great camera. But things have moved on. I wanted to start shooting 4K. I needed more dynamic range. This really suffers in low light, and most of the content on this channel is in low light, or at least a lot of it is. So now this Canon M50 acts merely as a secondary backup camera, so a backup to my backup. So if all else fails, I've got a camera if I need to film in a pinch. Canon M50 was replaced with my Fuji X-T4. This is now the main video camera for this channel, but as well as being a great video camera, this is also a fantastic stills camera, but I don't use it for stills on this channel because its main job is video. The dynamic range is fantastic. The colors and the image quality of the video and the 4K is superb. Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, the autofocus is not great, but the end result, when you get it all right, is fantastic. Now, I do use this for stills photography, but just not when I'm making videos. So if I'm out hiking or traveling or just going for a walk with my wife and I want to take a little camera to see or feel out compositions, I'll bring this along, and it's great. It's got image stabilization, and well, the images from this are fantastic. The Fuji X-T3, that is the camera I'm currently filming on now. That is the camera that I use as my office camera. It's kind of all set up in place here, so if I want to make a video, I can just come in, switch it on, and start recording. But the X-T3 is also my lightweight stills camera. Yes, I do take stills with this, as I mentioned, but not when I'm making videos. If I go on a long distance hike and I want to make YouTube videos, I'll use this to film, and I'll use the X-T3 to take my still images. The only difference in terms of raw files and photographs from the X-T3 and the X-T4 is that the X-T4 has built-in image stabilization, sensor stabilization, whereas the X-T3 does not. But the sensor and the processor are exactly the same, so the images out of the two cameras, the X-T3 and the X-T4, are identical. And when I'm making YouTube videos out in the field, I always use a tripod, so it doesn't matter. So again, X-T4 video, X-T3 stills in those situations where I need to be compact and lightweight. This is my Canon 5D Mark IV. This is my baby. This camera has been with me all over the world. My best ever images have been taken on this camera. This camera has survived everything I've thrown at it, and it has never ever let me down. It's dust-proof, waterproof, drop-proof, bomb-proof, shake-proof, everything-proof. I love, love, love this camera, which is why I am very sad to say that it's time to move on and this camera will be going, leaving the collection. And you may wonder why. Well, let me try and explain. My lens, my 24-70 lens here, that is scratched. My 70-200 lens is also scratched, and that 70-200 lens is well in need of an upgrade. Like, that is an old, cheap lens. Although it's great, there is much better on the market. So, with a couple of scratched lenses and a body that is getting on a bit, and you can get better bodies on the market, it's time for an upgrade. Now, usually what any photographer would do is you would stick with the camera system that you have because you're invested in glass. That's the main reason for sticking with a manufacturer, is because you are invested in the lenses, and then you switch out bodies when newer bodies get released. But with Canon, they've released the mirrorless cameras which have a new lens mount. And my lenses are all scratched and need replacing anyway, so I find myself in a position where not only am I pretty much due an upgrade, but I kind of have to upgrade anyway because my lenses are all scratched. So what am I going to do? I could buy the new R camera and then I have to buy all the new R lenses, the R mount lenses, and that's basically buying a whole new camera system. And if I'm going to buy a whole new camera system, I may as well buy a different whole new camera system. So this is my Fuji GX50R, and it will be replacing my 5D Mark IV once I get more lenses for this. That might take some time because they are not cheap. So I made a video in the field with this camera last week, but I didn't really talk about my reasoning behind choosing this camera, especially when the GFX100S has just been announced, which is essentially this camera but with 100 megapixels rather than 50 megapixels. But why did I buy this? Well, I was free. I was free as a bird. I could have chosen anything. I could have gone Canon, I could have gone Sony, I could have gone Nikon, or I could have gone Fujifilm, Panasonic. What other cameras are on the market? Hasselblad. I could have gone down any of those roads. But I did go for the Fujifilm. I love my Fuji cameras, and I like Fuji as a company. I think they respect their customers and the way that they update their cameras regularly with firmware, and they, people say that it's like downloading a new camera, and that is very much true. So why not the GFX100S? If you want the truth, the honest truth, I bought this camera 4 days before they announced it. Why? I don't have a contact at Fuji. If they'd have let me know that this camera was coming, maybe I wouldn't have bought the blooming 50R. But I'm stuck with it now, so what can I do? I probably would have gone with a 50R anyway. I'm not one for buying into new technology, new cameras. I like cameras that have been on the market for a while. This camera's been out a few years now, and I've only just bought it. That's pretty much how I operate, right? But yeah, the 100S looks fantastic, and I may well upgrade in like 6 months or a year, who knows, because I'll have the lenses, you see, so it won't be that big of a pill to swallow. Now, what you should know is this GFX 50R is secondhand. This lens is secondhand. I don't really like buying new cameras. I think you can get some really good deals in the secondhand market. And now that the 100S has been announced, I'll bet you anything that a bunch of these 50Rs are going to start cropping up on the secondhand market. And you can also grab a bargain. Another fun fact is this 50R is actually the ex-camera, or the ex-owner, is Mr. Adam Gibbs. So there we go. This camera once belonged to the International Landscape Photographer of the Year. So big boots to fill, but cheers, Adam. Absolutely loving it. So that's most of the reasoning behind the 50R. Obviously, we've got image quality, dynamic range, resolution, and here's a big one. If you know my work and you follow the channel for any amount of time, you'll know that I like to crop my images. Most of my images are either 4:5 or 1:1. So with a traditional sensor, such as with a traditional sensor on an APS-C camera or a full frame camera, it's a 3:2 resolution, or 3:2 aspect ratio. Which means it's pretty long and thin, bit letterboxy. So if you want to go for that 4:5 crop, you are losing quite a lot of pixels, and you're losing even more if you go for the 1:1 crop. Whereas we look at the sensor of the GFX cameras, not only do they have more megapixels at 50, they're also medium format, so they have bigger sensors, but look at the shape of the sensor. You see that? It's 4:3 aspect ratio. So it's more squat. It's not as elongated as a 3:2 aspect ratio, which means if I trim in the edge to bring it to a 4:5, then I lose fewer pixels. And again, if I go to square, I'm losing fewer pixels because of the aspect ratio of the sensor. That was a massive decision behind buying this camera. And not only that, like I said, I like the company, like the feel of it, like the dials, like everything. So this will be my main workhorse pretty much going forward. This is an Intrepid 4x5 large format camera. This was the first camera I purchased, or my first sort of stepping stone into film photography, but the truth is, it didn't go too well. This camera is a real faff to use. It's incredibly limiting. In fact, it's so limiting that I just gave up. I found that I was in the situation so many times where I just couldn't use this camera. In the UK, we don't get conditions that are suited to this type of photography. I don't think. It's always windy, cold, raining, you're always rushing. So it didn't go too well, but I am hanging on to it with the hope of getting out and using it one day. That's what I want to do, but not at the moment. This was my second step into getting back into film. This is my Hasselblad 501cm film camera, and it shoots square images, 6x6 square images. I very much consider this camera to be a toy or a plaything, an indulgence, shall we say. You see, all of the other cameras that I've just mentioned, apart from the Intrepid, they're all work cameras. They're workhorses, whereas this is how I relax. So at the risk of sounding cheesy, when I shoot with this camera, I very much get the joy and the excitement and the anticipation and the thrill and the passion that I used to have years ago when I first started getting serious about photography. Now, I don't necessarily think it's the camera. I think it's the fact that it's film. You see, I don't know, I mean, well, it's a 1:1 aspect ratio, so it's a square, so that helps me see things very differently. But also, film is so limiting in a good way. Like, when you shoot film, you're responsible for the outcome. You're responsible for metering correctly, you're responsible for the color, the tones, you know, choosing the right film for the right scene and that kind of thing. And I think it's because I'm getting older, but I'm kind of turning my back on technology. Like, I don't want a Tesla. I want old stuff, old, honest stuff. And this, I guess, by shooting with this camera and shooting film, in a way, it's kind of my little piece of rebellion against tech, which I think is so damaging, or can be so damaging. Now, I'm not talking about new cameras, of course, that's not quite the same thing here, but I do think that cameras have become very automated and it's very easy, and I think that can mean that you miss out on the subtleties of the landscape and exactly what you're trying to shoot. When you're restricted to only 12 images per roll of film and you can't see your images till about a week later, you shoot, compose, and basically practice photography in a much more careful and considered way. The end result of that is immense satisfaction and real mindfulness when you're out in the field taking photographs. Now, a great example of this is in next week's video, right? If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, because most of my videos are out in the field. Obviously, that's a bit more challenging now because of, well, you know. But yeah, I take this camera out in the field next week, and oh man, I start the day off feeling rubbish and a bit like, I felt a bit agitated and a bit anxious. By the end of the shoot, oh man, I was on cloud 9. We got some fantastic images all on this camera, and yeah, make sure you watch that video. Anyway, I waffled on too much about this camera, Hasselblad 501cm. I actually think I'm in love with it. If it's possible to be in love with an inanimate object, then this is what that is. And finally, she's back, baby. Big Bertha is back, the Fuji GX617. Now, as I mentioned before, the 501cm is really reignited my love for photography. I never fell out of love with photography. It's just sometimes in the field it felt a bit automated and a bit too, I don't know, I can't articulate it. But anyway, I love square images. We know that. But you know what else I love? Panos. So I'm thinking, man, I want a medium format film camera that shoots panos. So I bought this just before Christmas, this massive beastie hunk of a camera. And yeah, it shoots 120 roll film and it shoots 6x17 panoramic images, massive panos. But just as I was getting started in the field with this camera, it developed a fault, so I've had to send it away for repair. I've got it back now. I haven't been out with it, but it's gonna happen. That's coming. Content with this camera is coming, and I'm determined to have a successful photo shoot with this camera. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. This and this, as I mentioned before, are toys. They are indulgences. You know, this is what I do on my day off, even though it's all, you know what I mean. But yeah, these are just fun things, and if you are feeling like your creativity is dwindling, your flame is starting to, extinguish, then picking up an old camera, especially with film, man, it just gets the creative juices flowing. I know, because I've done it, all right? I've been on the edge, man. I've been on the edge of thinking, I don't even want to go out and take photographs anymore. I'm sick of it. Things like this change that. So there you go, that's all of my cameras. Now the funny thing is, for my entire life I've been a Canon shooter, and now I find myself in a position where I'm selling the 5D Mark IV and the Canon M50 no longer serves a purpose. And it won't have escaped any of your attention that I now have 4 Fujifilm cameras, and in fact Fujifilm runs this entire operation from video, film, and of course my main stills camera. And I have to say, none of this is intentional. It's kind of sad actually, because I've always been a Canon shooter, always, and it's not until this week that I'm no longer a Canon shooter, and it does make me sad, and it shouldn't actually, but it does. And it's not, I didn't sit down and think to myself, what's the best company to work with? Who are the best cameras? What are the best cameras on the market? It's just been a very gradual accumulation of cameras, and it just so happens they've all been Fujifilm. I don't know anyone at Fujifilm. I'm not, I've paid full price for everything, or, secondhand. So, man, I don't really know what to say, but I guess I'm officially a Fuji shooter. So there you go. Who'd have thought it? A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have even considered a Fuji camera. And slowly but surely, they ground me down. So there you go. Turn up for the books, eh? Right, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks guys for watching. And I need to say a big thank you to the sponsor of this video, which is Squarespace. If you're a photographer and you're thinking about making a website for a gallery, or to sell prints, or to have a blog or anything like that, I definitely recommend Squarespace. I've used them for a couple of my own websites, and the beauty of it is, and I'm not, on a sponsored message, and they sponsor a lot of my videos, but the beauty of it is, you can just log in and you can just drag and drop using their, it's easy. Basically, they have a template or various templates. You choose one, you drag and drop your content, bosh, knock out a website in about an hour. That's what I've done anyway, an actually good looking working website. And you can also register and manage your domain from there, so www.fujifilmshooter.com, whatever. So yeah, if you're interested in having your own photography website, go to squarespace.com/Heaton and you'll get a free try. And if you like your free trial, and only if you like it and it's all working nicely for you, use the offer code Heaton for 10% off your first purchase. Okay, goodbye. I have to put all my cameras back on the shelf, and that's going to take me about 7 hours because there's so many of them. So until next time, thank you for watching, and bye for now.